Trump trying to push back the D.C. election trial for years. How long? Well, we'll tell you. Lawyers for Donald Trump asked a federal judge Thursday to put off until 2026 a trial in Washington on charges that the former president plotted to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The suggested April 2026 date is a counterproposal to the Justice Department's recommendation last week that the trial should begin January 2nd, 2024. So they are years apart, folks. Court filing Thursday evening, Trump's lawyers say the years-long delay is warranted because of the massive amount of information prosecutors have already produced, more than 11.5 million pages. They have to review, and because of scheduling conflicts with the other criminal cases Trump is facing. Associated Press with the reporting, and just, another case seems to pop up every day. I believe we're at, is it 4? Is it 4, 3 state trials, right? It's 3, 4, okay. Somebody help me, Mayor, how many is it? Lost count.
It's 4 indictments so far, and most of them are federal, but there are so many charges in each indictment. So while we only have 4 indictments, there's tons of charges, and each of them carry significant time for someone who's 77 years old, as the former president is.
Yes, you're just such a gentleman, Mayor. You said only 4 indictments. Thank you for that reminder, but you're right. It is going to be, it's going to be a tough time for defendant Trump. A special counsel now, Jack Smith's team, expected to oppose the Trump team's request, which seeks to put off his trial until nearly a year and a half after the 2024 presidential election, in which Trump is currently the early front runner for the Republican nomination, though the polling is changing a bit. Now, the question is ultimately up to, well, her. US District Judge Tanya Chutkan, who is expected to set at least a tentative trial date during an August 28th court hearing. Something tells me she's not going to go for a 2+ year delay, but we'll see. The tactic comes after Trump canceled a press conference that he said would prove his innocence. On Truth Social, he posted this: rather than releasing the report on the rigged and stolen Georgia 2020 presidential election on Monday, my lawyers would prefer putting this, I believe, irrefutable and overwhelming evidence of election fraud and irregularities in formal legal filings as we fight to dismiss this disgraceful indictment by a publicity and campaign finance-seeking DA who sadly presides over a record-breaking murder and violent crimes area, Atlanta. Therefore, the news conference is no longer necessary. We should put disclaimers up. We can try to get you figures, but you cannot take that to be, well, you can't take it wholesale, okay? I don't know that Atlanta has all that he's talking about. I live here. We'll get you the numbers though at some point. Just don't believe it. It says Truth Social, we know, but you have to be clear here, folks. It's kind of like a gimmick at this point. This tactic, all Trump. Meanwhile, Trump ex-staffer Mark Meadows is also trying to weasel his way through the court proceedings by attempting to remove his prosecution from Georgia state to federal court. Thinks he has a better shot there. So how likely is it that Meadows will succeed in this? When the request for removal, Meadows' lawyers argue that because the charges against him concern his tenure as Trump's chief of staff, the Constitution's supremacy clause entitles him to remove the case to federal court. According to his attorneys, the conduct that DA Willis cites in the indictment, including contacting state officials on the president's behalf, falls within the normal scope of Meadows' duties in the White House. Wow. I want to pause there for just a moment, Mayor, because many are saying that this is ridiculous, but I just want to focus on that one thing in the filing from Mark Meadows, where the lawyers say it falls within his duties, the normal scope of Meadows' duties in the White House. He might be right, Mayor. In this White House, alleged criminality is part of his duties. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna stay in Trump's good grace, you definitely will have to break the law for Trump. So that would be under the duties of the White House. However, the Constitution does not protect criminality. And what Meadows did, acting as a staffer for Trump, does not give him blanket immunity for any charges that are not protected under his constitutional duties. And it's never constitutional for the president of our country to try and dictate who and who will not be electors, who and who will not vote. And I think that's the color of law that's missing in this claim. And it's why the bar is gonna be so high for Mark Meadows trying to move this case from Fannie Willis in Atlanta to a federal case. And I think, we've already seen judges reject this claim from Trump's lawyers in other cases, trying to move this to different jurisdiction and also to dismiss cases saying that he was acting under his official duty as president, when in actuality, none of what he did was part of his official duties as president.
Well, there you go, making sense and being ethical again, Mayor Robinson. One last thing, the background law is not favorable, like the mayor said, to these claims. That is because the allegations in the public record suggest that Meadows' conduct, namely his own and his support of Trump's pressuring of election officials in Georgia, was political in nature and not one that was or could ever be undertaken in an official White House chief of staff capacity. I mean, I can hear Richard Nixon, and I don't even want to compare him at this point. Come on back, Dick. But I can hear him now saying, well, if that's the precedent, then hey, can I kind of roll back things? Maybe I wouldn't have resigned. Maybe I wouldn't have had to. This argument, though, and what the pundits, the experts, the legalese are saying that, listen, this has got to do with political tactics and alleged criminality, nothing to do with the law. Judge Chutkan already made it clear that she could care less about anybody's election, anybody's anything, including the government, that if certain things continue, she even said, I'll speed up the trial. So your reaction to these filings seem desperate to me.
Yeah, and I think this overreach sometimes plays against your defense when you get to court. People see this fluke, or you trying to trick the government into moving this case. It looks more than desperate. It looks like your case has no legal standing. And I think for me, and someone who loves our democracy, this is a great thing. But for Mark Meadows and the other Trump cronies, they may be in serious trouble. And I think they're starting to see that, especially because they recognize that, guess what? Even if Trump somehow does win the next election, these state charges will stand. And there's no way that a president can expunge or offer clemency for them. So I think this is what's really frightening them at this case.
Yeah, and Governor Kemp already tweeted out, I guess it was Tuesday, whenever Trump was on Truth Social, that this election was not stolen here. Okay, so don't look for a pardon from him. And as we said, Georgia, you can't even really do that. But I've heard several pundits suggesting, and I happen to know a lawyer who was contacted by the Trump team, an excellent lawyer, who said, yeah, I'll take your case. Not on this one, it was another one of those 4 indictments. He said, but I need my money up front, okay? And I think we know why. He said, he meant it, and it's gonna be a lot of money. And so I believe Mr. Trump moved on. My friend will perhaps tell me. If he didn't, excellent lawyer. If you're ever in trouble here in Georgia or really anywhere, I'll give you his number, Mayor. But I suspect you'll never need it. You'll never need it.